cause you're wondering just what's going on. So quit your sneaking around, this is where you belong. And open up the doors now. Welcome to the temple, welcome to the sanctuary. You don't have to worry, just come on in. Welcome to the presence, welcome to the family. You don't have to hesitate, just come on in. Come on in and sit down, yeah. Now did you notice all the love around you? And did you hear all the voices raised in song? I hope you get yourself dancing and singing along. So let your body move now. Welcome to the temple, welcome to the sanctuary. You don't have to worry, just come on in. Welcome to the presence, welcome to the family. You don't have to hesitate, you just come on in. Come on in and get down. Welcome, welcome, come on in. Welcome, welcome, come on in. Welcome, welcome, come on in. Come on in.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. My name is Blake Ringsmith, and I'm pleased to be your worship assistant. Can you hear me okay? No, not really. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. How's that? Better? All right, good. We don't have any feedback though. Anyway, good morning. Good morning. And as the song says, welcome. Welcome. As we start every service today, we will start it today with prayer. So, I invite you to be still. Feel that energy, that love energy. We are all here by divine appointment today. We are open to this message. We welcome Joe and his wife, and all those souls who have chosen to gather here. We open our hearts. We release the love, and we accept the love that is given.
This is a special morning. We are grateful to be here, to be of service, to hear the message that's placed upon our hearts, and for this opportunity. I'll say amen. Amen. And let's speak our affirmation, which I think is right up there. Together, focused, truth of divine abundance by which I prosper.
If you'd like to stand, we'll sing This Is You. This is the real you in reality.
have some announcements that I'd like to share. First, our July guest speakers. Today we're welcoming our friend Joe Kelly, who always speaks from the heart, and I'm glad for that, very much so. Reverend Kit Holmes will be here on July 9th and the 23rd. Reverend Jack Harnish will be with us on July 16th. And we'll finish out the month with Reverend Judy Grimes on July 30th. So we've got a great lineup. We have an announcement from Marty Churgwin on the Barbershop Quartet.
It's Barbershop Harmony time. Friday, July 7th, right here, 7:30. I'm renting the church, and the barbershoppers are going to live stream the International Champions Show, which takes place live at the International Convention every year. There'll be 11 past international champions, okay? So if you want to hear the best in the business, this is the place to come. As a finale, the 11 quartets get together and make a chorus. It'll be the best chorus you've ever heard in your life. So I've invited the barbershoppers. I'm inviting you. If you would like to bring a little snack and something to drink and pass, we'll meet a little bit before. It starts at 7:30, but you're all welcome to attend. So I hope you'll take advantage of it. You're the best in the business. Thank you.
Let's see, our next announcement is a reminder that our grief group, our first grief group, will be held on July 9th. If you have any questions, see Vicki Green. Vicki, will you raise your hand? There she is. If you have questions about the grief group, please see Vicki. We have a membership pathway class for anyone wishing to become a member of Unity of Traverse City or just wanting to learn more about our history and our core principles. You're invited to join a 3-part membership class starting July 16th. See Bob White for more information. Bob is in the sound booth back there, and you probably all know Bob. Hi, Bob. Are you interested in attracting and generating even more freedom, flow, and abundance in all aspects of your life? This is not an Amway pitch, I'm pretty sure. In breaking through to the next level of success in all areas of your life, then you will be interested in joining the Prosperity Plus 3 class, which will begin on Thursday, July 27th at 6 p.m. It'll be a 7-week online program facilitated by Kit Holmes. You should have received an email with details yesterday if you're on the email mailing list, and additional information will also be available in the coming weeks. And if you haven't done a prosperity class through Unity, it is prosperous. And then today is Script Sunday, so for those of you who don't know, we have gift cards that you can order and pay for all the places you might normally shop, Myers or gasoline or various places, and it is a fundraiser. Part of the funds go to the church, so that is an opportunity for us this Sunday. All right, and without any further ado, let's say good morning to each other in our wonderful Unity way. Welcome, my friend. Good to see you. Welcome. Good to see you again. Hey. Good to see you. Can I give you a hug?
Yeah, absolutely.
Good to see you.
You too.
Good to see you. Blake. Yeah. All right. Now is the time where we enter into our meditation. As the lights come down, I invite you to become comfortable in your chair. And loosen your shoulders. Feel your feet connected to the earth. And slow, deep, releasing breath. In and out. And with each exhale, we release any concerns or thoughts. In and out. We become more and more centered in that divine space within. And if a thought comes into our mind inconsistent with that space, we release it and bless it. And as we clear out any of those concerns, become more centered in the Christ presence, we become still. We know our true nature. Joy, love, connection. And breathing deeply, we feel that energy filling our hearts. It is from this space that we choose to be guided in any decision. We release the opposite of those feelings, knowing they're natural. But joy and love and connection are our true calling. That is why we are here together today. For even if it is not in the front of our minds, it is the nature of our souls. Joy, love, connection. It is not a coincidence that we are here together today. On this beautiful day that the Lord has made. It is ours to choose what we do with it. And we affirm that choice in the silence. And as we return to this place now, we affirm that choice, whether it be forgiveness or expressing the divinity within with an exuberance unknown. for this opportunity and this connection we have with each other. We are so very grateful. And together we all say, Amen.
In this moment, in this place, I remember who I am, letting fear and worry fall away from me. I open my eyes and see there is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only love. When I lose myself, when it seems I've lost my way, when I go inside and quiet my mind, I hear Spirit gently say, there is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only love. There is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only love.
Good morning. I read on the sheet that this is called the lesson. And I think we just had the lesson. That anything that I'm going to say today really was said certainly more in tune right there. And I'm really glad to be here today, once again. And as usual, when I get invited here, I really review that I've been coming here for about 35 years, off and on, here and there, sometimes more, sometimes less. And from the very beginning, and I believe that I have said this every time I've been here, that I know very little about Unity. From the first time I came, I had no idea what it was. And about halfway through, I decided I wasn't gonna find out. I was just gonna accept it as it was, because it was so accepting and so warm. And I have stayed with that ever since. So I'm always glad to be here. And I want to say that anything that I say today and have ever said here and any place else is really from the experience of the two of us. Linda has always been the quiet one of the couple, always, from the very beginning, and has always been the spiritual leader in our life. And I know that in some circles that's not considered proper, that the man is supposed to be the spiritual leader. But that's not the case in my world, and it has never been the case. In fact, Linda is so quiet that often you sort of forget that she's there. But she's a person that from the very first time I met her makes the world around her a better place without saying much. And I probably mentioned before that I was in the service. The guys that served with me, the people in my small unit, when we were in port, they lived at my house. They lived in my apartment. And Linda fed them and nursed them and encouraged them and took care of them. And their main loyalty in life was Linda. And it's always been that way. And it's that way today. So the two of us look forward to being here and sharing with you from our experience. Now, a couple days ago, Linda said to me, and this is since Linda's accident, which was about 4.5 years ago. Since her accident, she has gotten more verbal and funnier. And most of the funny is aimed at me. And just about 2 or 3 days ago, she said, I think we need to have me issued a mute button that I can push and suddenly you stop. And I understood what she was saying, that might be a major improvement on the world. But today I'm going to share with you verbally. And I'm going to share with you from my experience, our experience, and the question I want to raise today is, why are we here? Why are you and I here in this place today? What's the reason? What did you come here for? What did I come here for? Okay. I want to say to you that I'm not talking to you as an authority, other than on my experience. That's very important to me. That I come here because involving myself in a church activity, whatever it is, helps me change. Because I really come here looking for help with a willingness to change. Because if I'm not willing to change. I just shut the door on a living spiritual experience. Regardless of the change, that I'm looking for. And I'm always looking for some change, some fine tuning. Years ago, my life was a wreck. And you've heard that before. You've heard me say it before. Heard others say the same thing. My life was a wreck. It was close to over. I had seemed to fail at everything I've ever done. And out of desperation, I went to a 12-step group. Didn't believe in it. Was certainly convinced that it was not going to help me. But knew that. But I didn't know what else to do. And I had made arrangements for two guys to pick me up. And my teenage daughter sat on the front porch with me. And she sat on the front porch with me so that I wouldn't disappear. And I would have. I would have sat there for a very few minutes, and I would have found something important that I had to do that would have got me off that porch and out of the way of that driveway until these guys left. And I got in the car, a truck, it was a truck, with these two guys, both wearing black cowboy hats, thinking this has to be the end of the world. And I don't believe in this. And we drove from just north of Cedar, in Leelanau County, to Northport. It's about 35 miles. These two guys talked and laughed all the way and drank Diet Fresca that they kept getting from under the seat. And I thought, this. But in that meeting, I somehow, from a group of, the total of us was 8 people, and we met in a cafeteria in Northport Hospital with people eating dinner around us. It's the weirdest thing. And these guys talked. It was one woman. And these guys talked, and they talked about their experiences. And this thing called recovery. I had no idea what they're talking about. And every once in a while, they would throw in the word God. And when they did, there was a door that shut in my brain. I don't want to hear any God stuff. I don't believe in that stuff. And they talked about prayer. So I don't want to hear that either. No, don't believe in that. But by the end of the meeting, I still didn't believe in anything. I had this weird sense of hope. Weird. So they drove me home, dropped me off, I went right to bed. Linda came home with the children, came in the bedroom, said, "Do you want to talk about it?" No. She said, "Why not?" I said, "Because I'm feeling this weird sense of hope. I can't tell you what happened, because I don't understand what happened. I don't have this sense of hope, and I don't want to talk about it because it'll go away. And that was a beginning. And about 3 weeks later, I had a profound experience. I was coming apart emotionally and psychologically, spoke to one of the guys who was in the truck with me that first night, told him what was happening. And he said, for about the fourth time in 3 weeks, he said, maybe you should try prayer. And I thought, all the thoughts at that point were four-letter words. All of them. And I know that a few of them came out to him. But I got out of the truck, agonized about it for almost 24 hours. And the next day, I was working. I was in an orchard. I was by myself. I had gotten out of the truck. I couldn't get back in the truck. So I knew this was the end. And I prayed. I didn't call it that. I didn't believe it. But weirdly enough, I climbed on a large boulder that was on the property line. And this orchard overlooked West Bay, north of Omena. And I looked up in the air at something I didn't believe in, and I said, I had no idea what I was doing. I said, okay, I don't believe in you, and I don't believe this is meaningful at all, but I don't know what else to do. But if I don't get help, I'm going to die in this orchard. And I got help. That's it. It's as simple as that. I got help. Walked down the hill. Sort of staggering. I hadn't had a drink or a drug in 3 weeks, which at that time felt like I couldn't remember the last time that I'd gone anywhere near that long without. And on the way down the hill, I said to myself, and I remember clearly, you don't believe in anything, and you just asked for help, and you got it. And the next thought I got was, if there is something bigger than you, now you're going to get what you deserve. And I was terrified. I was terrified. But then, I thought, wait a minute. This power you don't believe in helped you. That's not the act of something that's going to get you now. That was, and I remember thinking, that's an act of love. So that wasn't even in my vocabulary. You know? And that was the beginning. And then I experimented because I didn't believe in anything in particular. I experimented, I kept practicing prayer, which was the first step on my spiritual walk, which was almost 42 years ago. And when I prayed, I pictured this power, all kinds of ways, all kinds of different ways. In fact, I experimented with that for approximately 2.5 years. And for 2.5 years, regardless of what I envisioned as my higher power, what was I talking to? What was I praying to? And I didn't use the word pray. I used the word I'm talking to. Okay? It seemed crazy, but the whole thing seemed crazy. So, you know, I pictured it as the lake, the moon, the sun, the stars, the trees. I've always loved trees. The ground. And for 2.5 years, I kept doing that over and over again and trying not to tell anybody what had happened. And then, and I got pretty bizarre with it. Okay? It was bizarre from the beginning, but it didn't seem to matter how bizarre I got. It didn't make a difference. I got help. And I felt the help. And the only person I would talk about it with was Linda. And occasionally, somebody else in a 12-step program. and they all looked at me like I was kind of crazy. But what I learned from that experience was that this power that seemed to be there seemed to care more about helping me than how I envisioned it. Didn't seem to care about that at all. And that has been powerful and stayed with me ever since. I didn't know what I was praying to. I often didn't have the courage to call it prayer. I'm holding a conversation. You know? And then at some point, I said to my wife, maybe since this experience, and at this point I'm almost 3 years without a drug, without a drink, and my life is changing. It's changing. You know, the orchard crew that I worked with, the family that owned it, made me a partner in a side business, a real partner, so that I owned a stake, which they gave me, and had me run it. And I ran it for 1.5 years. And then, because I was involved in 12-step meetings in the jails, I was hired by a nonprofit corporation that provided education and counseling services to the jails with no training, other than they all knew I had been crazy and didn't seem to be anymore. The jail had known me for a long time. I mean, that's why they hired me. And I worked with them for 2 years. At the same time, I said to Linda, maybe I should try and do something the way normal people do things. She said, what do you mean? And I said, maybe. And I didn't say I said, maybe we, because I'm certainly afraid to do it by myself. Maybe we should try a church. Yeah, right. I don't believe in it, but I wonder what would happen if I take this to a church. And there's a long story about why I chose the church I did. You know, and I'll save you all of that. But I went, and, you know, the long story involves these two ancient old ladies walking in the snow while I'm buying whiskey. You know, before all this started, I'm buying whiskey at, 9 in the morning, and these old ladies are walking by. And I said to the guy in the store, who are those old ladies? Where are they going? They're on snowshoes. There's a couple feet of snow on the ground. And the guy said, well, those are the old Quaker ladies. Absolutely just talking crap. I said, well, if I ever go to church, I'll go to church with those old Quaker ladies. So this is years later. I said to Linda, I think we ought to go to that church. She looks at me. She said, you really are crazy. But sure, we'll go. And we went. And I show up at this church with Linda and the kids who are thinking we're out of our minds. And I have hair down in my belt in the back, full of sawdust from cutting trees, beard down in my belt in the front from cutting trees. And these ladies meet me at the door. And they hand me this fold-up table. And they said, young man, would you put this away for us because it's too heavy for us? And I was expecting to slam the door. I said, sure, I'll carry it. And they said, would you do this every Sunday for us? Now, I know I've told you this story before, but I tell this because this was the beginning of me in the church. And then me and the Bible. So I went to church for a couple months before I ever had the courage to send my wife and daughter to the store to buy me a Bible. And they came back with one that had red covers. And I thought, it's got red covers. I think Bibles are supposed to be black. I didn't know what the New Testament was, what the Old Testament was. The only thing I'd ever used the Bible for was in the Navy, when it was the only book we were ever allowed to have in the workspace. And so we had, and we were not the only ones, but we had cut out the center of the pages inside. That's where we hid our bottle of whiskey. So there's a whole lot of people on a ship carrying a Bible. Never saw anybody read one. But I had to ask some younger man. I read the first 6 chapters. So this is the craziest thing I've ever read. How is this supposed to help me? He said, what are you reading? I said, well, I'm reading this book called, begins with a G. He said, why don't you just try the New Testament? I said, what's that? So he opened it up, he showed me. So I put a marker in there. Well, I started to read the New Testament. got to I guess right around chapter 6, and there was a line, one line. The rest of it made no sense. It was like reading a garbled book. There was a line, and the line was, what you look at with your eyes is what will be in your heart. Ooh, that spoke to me. Oh, wow. Maybe this thing, after numerous years reading the Bible, numerous times, in all kinds of ways, with all kinds of people, I held on to that power that I know, that I had become to know. That power didn't care how I looked at it, or how I envisioned it, or how I pictured it. But it did respond to me talking with it. And the point of all this is that in that beginning of my spiritual walk, the greatest lesson was nobody else can tell me what to believe. Nobody else can tell me what to believe. The power can tell me what to believe for me. And that has stayed with me for over 4 years. I believe the last count of reading through the Bible all the way was like 17 times. And it's a great meaning for me. Endless experiences. I've talked about many of them here and other places. But the big lesson for me still is what I believe, what I believe. Because each of us is an individual person. And each of us in here carries around an individual world in which we interpret all of our experiences and everything that happens to us. And each one is different. And so for me, the spiritual journey has been finding a willingness to pray, practicing prayer, beginning to change. And most of my prayers are not real fancy. Most of them have to do with help me. Because I have no idea what I'm doing. And I get help. And often, and I think I've said this here before, when I pray, I feel like I always get answers. A lot of them is laughter. Like, you gotta be kidding. We've talked about this before. Just do what I told you the last time. Okay? And almost all of them push me to do something different than what I had been doing. So I believe for me, and I'm the only one I can speak for me, this journey, and I absolutely believe that the spiritual journey is the goal. It's not the outcome of the spiritual journey that's the goal. It's the spiritual journey that's the goal. And as I continue on this journey, and after years And years of being involved in a church, and building relationship with lots of people. And I'm still a part of it, and I love it. I moved on from the Bible in the sense of I don't believe that's the only way to experience God. I believe, I came to believe over time that God is in everything and all around me, and not in any one particular religion. Not just Christianity. That none of that makes sense to me. It just doesn't make sense to me. I'm happy to worship with the Christians. All kinds. And I do. And I have done that from the very beginning. And I worship well among the Catholics. Don't understand it all. But I don't need to. I worship very well with the Unity people. I worship reasonably well with the evangelicals. And everywhere I look, now, I have to practice not looking for the negatives, for the differences. I had great experience, a couple great experiences, just recently. A couple weeks ago, a church where Linda and I volunteer on Tuesdays, we counsel the staff. And love the people, and they've been sending people as clients for many, many years. I knew they were having a big meeting to decide whether they joined an evangelical something association. I don't pay attention to that. I'm not a member. I like the people. So I happened to be sitting for a minute or two with one of the young pastors. And I asked him what happened in the vote to join the association. He said, it was really interesting, Joe. It wasn't unanimous. He said, and we thought maybe it would be. He said, but there was a young woman who stood up, and she felt very alone. I could tell, I could sense it in her, and listed the reasons why she thought we shouldn't join this evangelical association. And he said, when she sat down, he said, she made some good points. It was really interesting. He said, but the vote went the other way, the way we thought it would. We joined the association, and I was worried. I was worried that she wouldn't come back. So I went and talked with her and asked her, how are you feeling? I know you felt lonely standing up and making objections. She said, not at all. Not at all. She said, my objections were real and honest, and I believe they were well thought out, but the vote didn't go my way, and this is my church, and these are my people, and now it's time for me to get to work and help to make it all happen in a healthy way. And I thought, ooh, somebody's got it. Somebody's got the message, the original, the core, and don't we need more of that in our world? Instead of, it didn't go my way, I quit. And I'm going to go find people that believe just like me. There is no such thing. Just my own personal belief. There's no two heads here who would agree entirely on why are we here today? Why do we come here? And it's okay. There's no bad reason to be here. And if we're willing to change, if I'm willing to change, that power that has changed my life beyond anything I would ever imagine could happen. And that's real for me. I think the last time I was here, after I got home, our son, and I can't remember whether it was the last time or the time before that, but our son said to me, I drove down 5 miles. That billboard changed and your picture was on it. What kind of church would have you come and talk? I almost drove into a tree, he said. And, you know, we are people who have an opportunity to change. All of us, if we're willing. And as we change and change together in different ways, and witness the changes in each other, and find ways to work together, and find ways to really practice, find willingness to love those that are different from us and work together with those that are different from us. Instead of, in the church world, there's an awful lot of the right way to believe. When we focus on the right way to believe, we're heading in a negative direction, because it leaves out all the people who believe differently. I don't think there's a right way to believe. I don't think any of us is really intelligent enough to identify what the right way to believe is. And I think the evidence of that is all of the negativity all around us, including in the churches. And I think that all the spiritual leaders of all times have tried to lead us to be people who love each other in spite of the differences, maybe because of the differences, and learn to work together in spite of and because. And we keep crucifying them because we don't want to change, because it's scary. When we face that, and we become willing to change, we now become a part of the solution. And only then can we become a part of the solution. And so I come here today, I try to come here today with a willingness to be part of the solution with you and to learn from you. And I'm very grateful. And thank you for inviting me again.
Thank you, Joe. All right, now is the time where we consider our love offering, a time to share our financial gifts with the ministry. As children of a loving God, we live in the light of abundance, deeply grateful for all that has been given and all that is yet to come. We embrace the good that God provides with joy and thanksgiving, and remember that as we give, so shall we receive. I'd like to say our prosperity blessing together, please. God is my unfailing source. I stand ready and sure in the face of uncertainty, confident that divine ideas will assure my prosperity. And so it is.
I'm reaching out to feel the infinite. I'm reaching out to know the divine. I'm reaching out to feel the infinite. Yet forever is already mine. I'm going deep to feel the infinite. I'm going deep to know the divine. I'm going deep to feel the infinite. Yet forever is already mine. I'm already there. I'm already home. I'm already safe in my eternal soul. I'm already there. I'm already home. I'm already safe in my eternal soul. I'm rising up to feel the infinite. I'm rising up to know the divine. I'm rising up to feel the infinite. Yet forever is already mine. I'm already there. I'm already home. I'm already safe in my eternal home. I'm already there. I'm already home. I'm already safe in my eternal soul. I'm already there. I'm already home. I'm already safe in my eternal soul. I'm already there. I'm already home. I'm already safe in my eternal soul.
Excellent. I was remiss in letting you all know and reminding you that we're a tithing church community, and I'm holding in our hand our check that we are sending to the Unity World headquarters as part of our monthly tithe. So after the service, as we bring this to a close, there'll be some one-on-one prayer chaplains available for you for confidential prayer. We also have refreshments in the back. We invite you to join us there. And as we always do, we end our service in prayer. Father, Mother God, we are here today because we are willing, knowing that some days we might be a little more willing than others, and that's okay. For today, our hearts are open. We've heard this message. We wish to make changes, to be more true to that divine presence within, to follow that still, quiet voice that guides us, each one of us in the way that is perfect for us. We are grateful for this church community. We are grateful to be together, to join in prayer, to be of single purpose, to make this world a better place. And so it is. Amen. Let's join together in our circle, as we usually do. So maybe we get a little closer so we can complete that circle as best we can. And knowing even though the circle isn't literally complete, we are complete. And I invite you to speak a name or a circumstance into the circle that you wish to have higher power brought to it, knowing that all is in divine order, whether we see it or not. We call for the greatest good, knowing it is being delivered.